Hello, this is a 2008 Ford Fusion that I picked up recently. I've had several Tauruses, and I gotta admit, I really like this Fusion. I enjoyed it. It's a great ride, and picked it up with 80,000 miles, so wanted to do the transmission fluid exchange. Found out a few things I didn't know. All right, so I'm trying to help some people because I couldn't find a video that answered some of my questions before I got into this, and it turned out to be kind of a pain, so here we go. 2008 Ford Fusion, first generation, is 06 to 12. The 5-speed transmission, FNR5, with the 2.3 liter engine, and I suppose the other 5-speed transmissions are serviceable, right? So you want to change the fluid. You can do that on either the 5 or the 6-speed, but you cannot change the filter on the 6-speed because it's internal in the transmission. So those ones are different, and this doesn't apply to those, although I will say that changing two things on the 6-speed transmission is important. One, put a magnetic drain plug in there so it will absorb the metal, and when you go to change the fluid, you've got a magnetic drain plug. And change the fluid, the transmission fluid, probably every 30,000 miles in those vehicles, because you cannot change the filter and you don't have a magnet. It's probably a good idea. You want that transmission to last a long time. This is the 5-speed. You're going to need 4 to 5 quarts of the proper fluid, from what I understand. The 5 and 6-speed use different fluid. 10 millimeter 1/4-inch socket. However, you need a flexible socket adapter, or you will experience a mini nightmare when you get under there and start taking everything apart. You need a number 8 Allen, and you can use a 9/16 with a socket with extensions for the overfill, and of course you'll need a funnel. I tend to use a funnel like that. So while the engine's hot, one of the ways you're going to notice a 5-speed is if you have a way to check the fluid. I don't think the 6-speeds have the dipstick, could be wrong, but I think they have a sight valve where you can see, or a plug on the side of the transmission where if it's too much, it overfills. In any case, obviously you want to get the car up to operating speed, 15 or 20 minutes of driving. You want to check and make sure your fluid's between those two marks, right? It doesn't have hash marks, but it's between those two marks. While it's at operating speed, get it to the proper level, and then you will know how much fluid to put back in based on how much you took out. Not all the fluid comes out when you do a pan drop and a filter exchange. All right, so when you're draining your fluid out, if you have a pan like this, you can kind of get a pretty close estimate of how much fluid you're taking out. Although with a drain plug like this, you could use a different way to capture the fluid. But when you drop the pan, of course, it's going to make a little bit of a mess, and having a nice big pan like this helps. All right, now let's go underneath the car, and I'll show you why you don't want to start this. So first, this has the drain pan. That lets you know it's a 5-speed, right? So you got to take off the protective shield, right? And you got half a dozen number 8 bolts you got to take out. So you got that, and this is the part that's easy. Drain plug, piece of cake. All right, stick a number 8 Allen wrench in there, and you know that comes out, boom, piece of cake, not a problem. I'll try and get some light in here to show you what is a problem, and see if I can't light this up a little better. It's kind of hard to see, but if you look at the frame of the vehicle, I'm going to stick this underneath the frame. Well, you see the bolts for the pan, but here's the frame. All right, so the frame's in the way. All right, not just here, over here too. So you're underneath, you can't get a straight shot, right? So you have a couple bolts, that one in the corner and this one here, you just can't reach them. This one here, I don't know if this shows it, but you can get to all of them except those two. And then when it comes over here, Same thing. We're really trying to get a good picture of this. It's not easy. You can kind of see right there. There's an empty space where that bolt's missing. And I tried everything, man. I couldn't find my flexible adapters, and I ended up drilling a hole, trying to get a socket through there. You just can't, because the frame is, you'd have to cut this piece off. Not recommended. I drilled holes through here, so what? And I stuck the socket through there, and I got those on there. So here's the thing you need, okay? That thing right there, all right? If you have that flexible adapter, you can get up there, and you can usually get into the area you need to get into and get that screw out. Otherwise, you are going to be just not a happy camper. All right, so let's look at some of the other. Let me see. Yeah, so you see, those are all easy to get to. All right, until you come to these other ones. That's pretty much it. The rest of this is pretty standard. Drop the pan, drain the fluid, fill it back up, drive it to temperature, check, and adjust as necessary. Obviously, if you put in too much, you could just drain a little bit out from the drain plug. And to fill it up is pretty easy. Now, from what I understand, the 6 speeds, the way the 6 speeds fill, let me grab a light. Okay, so that, you see down there, right there where I'm kind of shining, I believe that's the overfill, and you can take that off right here. Okay, that bolt 9/16 is part of the transmission, right? And so I believe that if you take that off and you fill the transmission and it fills too much, I think the fluid drains out of there. All right, but if you're on a 6-speed, that's where you have to fill the transmission up, and you got to have a tube that gets into that hole. So you might want to take it and check it first. I believe, it might not even screw in. I think it might pull out, but I'm not sure. It's a 6-speed, and I'm not sure. And you don't really have to take off all this, but you can. The bottom part of the box pops off pretty easily. The top part, you obviously just have to take off the thing off the throttle body and pop this off, and you can reach it. But you don't really need to on the 5-speed, because you're going to fill it over here and you're going to drain it on the bottom. And you know, if you get the right amount, you should be good. All right, I hope that helps somebody, because I couldn't find that on the internet. And boy, when I went down there and started working on it, I didn't have that flexible adapter. It was hard.